Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in for this live demo session. Quickly take you through the essential features of the mobile app, which actually enables clients to virtually control the entire trading related activity from his pocket. Now, it's possible that some of you may not know all the features, and therefore this initiative to try and familiarize you with everything that the mobile app has to offer. So as you can see, the screen in front of you right now shows you two options. So one can log in as a client or one can log in as a guest. The login as a guest is open to anybody who shares his email ID and gets an OTP. And once the OTP is registered, the guest login can happen. If you are a client of Prabhudas Lilladher, then there are two possible things that could be happening. One, you are marked in our back office system as an offline client, in which case you have to go and click this button called convert to mobile. Convert to mobile enables you to officially allow us to create a mobile trading account for you. And then from next day onwards, once you get the username and password in the night, next day onwards, you can log in with your username and password and start trading. If you are an existing client who's already marked online, all you have to do is put in your password and username into the box here. And in case you have forgotten what your username or password is, you have to click forgot password below. And you will get an instant SMS as well as an email to your registered email ID, which will give you your latest password, using which you can log into the system and continue trading. If you are a newbie and you do not have a Prabhudas Lilladher account, all you have to do is go below on the screen and click open new account and initiate the account opening process online, which in about 15 minutes to 20 minutes max, you should be able to complete with help from our call center. And once that process is over, you can start trading online from the next day. Now, let me log in using my own username and password. One second, I'm very. Now, once I've logged in as a customer, the first thing that I see on the screen is something called the dashboard. Now, if you want to reach this dashboard, all you have to do is click here on the item called My Dashboard, and you will always get to the screen. Now, the dashboard will show you the holding value currently, today's up or down value, which is the M2M for the day, the daily change. If you've taken any positions, then today's positions would be shown. You can also see the orders that you've placed. You can also see the limits that are available. Now, by clicking the limit summary window, you can actually see all the limits that are available and how those limits are available to you. Remember that we follow a combined limit setting system, which means that the 8,49,000 rupees that you see here, for example, will allow you to trade across segments, derivatives, MCX, and the cash segment on a combined basis. If you have transferred money today, you can go and click source of limit credits and you will see the cash deposit amount changing if you've done any transfers. And how you've utilized the money during the day is also available across segments. So you know how the money that was or how the limit that was available in the morning was utilized during the trading day. Let me go back to my dashboard. On the screen below, you will see two sections, My Recommendations and PL Recommendations. My Recommendations essentially is recommendations made by Prabhudas Lilladher on stocks that you already have in your portfolio. So you understand what the PL stance is. PL recommendations is all recommendations across asset classes and categories, whether or not the stock or the asset is part of your portfolio. You can also set up what is called the scan alerts, which means does this script, for example, ICICI Bank, have any particular movement today which has enabled it to show a sharp rise in volume or a sharp rise in price or extensive short covering, etc. By clicking the scan below where it says one new scan, you will get further information on why this stock has featured in the alert screen. And right below that is the news section, which will enable you to watch the latest news that is available today. By clicking the holding value on top, it takes you to a list of all the securities that you hold, the valuation, and the change today can also be found out by clicking what is called the daily change, right? You can sort the symbols in ascending or descending order, or in ascending order of losses or profits, or in terms of the value of the holding that you have in your account. By clicking on the trade button, you will get into what is called the watch list. Now, getting to the watch list is very easy. Since you did not have a script when you clicked this particular option, you get into what is called the watch list. The watch list can also be accessed by clicking the magnifying button below that you can see on your screen. Now, there are multiple asset classes available in the asset watch list screen. All you have to do is select one of the asset classes. So let me do it for you. Let's say that I'm searching for a stock called Ambuja Cement, and I get Ambuja Cement. Now I have two options. Either I do a trade right away, in which case I will press the trade button, the one with a T written there. Or if I wanted to add, if I want to add it to the watch list, then I'll press the watch list button and say, I'll add it to the watch list button and say add, in which case it will add it to the watch list. Now, if you were to say look for a derivative instrument, let's say I am looking for, I don't know, let's say the Nifty options contract for July. Let's say call option 11,000. I will search for Nifty, which brings me all the Nifty instruments. I'll select call option, and here I'll go and select the strike price. So let's say I've selected 10,000. So I'll get all the contracts in the call option series for Nifty which have a strike price of 10,000. This is how you search for a derivatives contract. Now, since I mentioned the watch list, I'll go to the watch list. Now, the watch list can have multiple sub watch lists presented. You can create almost 10 watch lists here. Within each watch list, you have a list of scripts where you can initiate a trade or watch the chart or set up a price alert. You could actually go into the stock itself by clicking the script code and go into various options. Now, as you can see, when I clicked the stock, I got all the fundamental information on the stock, the valuations. I got the market depth. Right now, the markets are closed, so you cannot see the depth. Otherwise, you'll get a market depth window here with the top 5 on both sides. You will get the resistance and support levels, which is very, very important for intraday traders. You'll get fundamental ratios of each of the key parameters. You can click on any of the ratio to get detailed year-on-year kind of analysis and trends. You can see the profit and loss account, the shareholding distribution as per the latest quarter disclosures, and if any bulk or block has happened in the script in the last 24 hours, the call put ratio for the near series as well as the far series, and the delivery volumes over the last 5 days. You can also go and change from the cash segment to, for example, the option series. Now you could select any of, right from the script code, you can go into the derivative segment quotations as well, and you'll get straight back to the options prices or the futures prices or whatever it is that you selected on your screen. So that's how a watch list is set up. It's very easy to manage the watch list. All you have to do is select the symbol and then add it to your favorite watch list. If you want to delete any script, you select which watch list you want to select, and within that, go there and say delete, and the script is deleted. Or if you want to manage the watch list, meaning, for example, which watch list should be shown to you by default, all that you have to do is press the button and say a default watch list, in which case it gets created as a default watch list. You can, if you have placed any orders during the day, you go to the order book and you will see a series of orders which have been placed. Whether they are in the executed status, pending status, etc., is all available on the screen. If any of these were executed, you will go into the trade book, which will allow you to see all the traded orders during the day. You can also see net position. So if during the day you had placed any derivatives or cash or commodities positions, currency positions, etc., you will have two options. One, the expiry option and the daily option. The daily option will essentially show you today's change in the mark-to-market valuation for today's transactions, while the expiry option will show you today's change for all the positions that you held, including the positions that you bought today. The holding statements I've already explained is nothing but the valuation of your power of attorney holdings with Prabhudas Lilladher Private Limited. You can also do a bit of research on mutual funds. So, for example, you can go and select any mutual fund's house, the option, and the scheme name, and get complete details about the mutual fund, including its returns, its fund management profile, its portfolio, and so on and so forth. You can also search for top ranked mutual funds within each category by selecting various time periods or by selecting the category itself. You can also go and get access to our latest mutual fund research by clicking the MF research section. Limit section, I already explained. In case you have transferred money during the day, you go into sources of limit. Now, how do you do a fund transfer is available right below the limit section. For the bank account that is mapped, you have two options. You can do either a UPI or a net banking transaction. You can select the segment for which you want to do the fund transfer, select the banks which are mapped, select the bank account numbers from which you want to do such a transfer, enter the amount here and say submit, which will carry you straight to the banking payment gateway, where once you put your credentials and the money is transferred, you automatically get limits in the trading system. The amount will also be visible in the limit section, like I showed. If you want to request a payout, then all payouts which are requested prior to 12 o'clock for a given day, the funds are transferred on a best efforts basis on the same day. Otherwise, you get the funds within the next 36 to 48 hours. All the fund transfers that you did during the current financial year are also available as a screenshot so that you can search between dates and what amount of funds were transferred during that selected period. One of the important parts of the entire exercise is the My Report section, which shows you the portfolio gains and losses on your current holdings in the cash as well as the derivative segment. Now, within each segment, you also get access to what is called the unrealized gain or the realized gain. Now, if you want to see how you accumulated a particular stock, you can go and click the transaction history, which will tell you all the transactions that you did, on which day the transaction was done, what was the brokerage charge, what was the taxes paid, and so on and so forth. There's one more thing that you can do. In case you're not very comfortable with the screen, the way it looks here, you can click on the view more option below, which will take you to our portfolio tracker online and show you the entire details through a website UI and UX. The ledger will show you the closing balance on the previous evening in your account, and the statement will be visible to you every evening. You can also download your contract notes by going to the contract note download section and clicking on the download option, which generates a PDF which you can store in your mobile phone. I will now focus on the left side of the menu. The right side of the menu is more for traders. The left side of the menu is more for do-it-yourself research. So you have a lot of options available, which includes things like an overview of the markets and how the various indices, commodities, etc. are doing, what the latest news is. You can also go and see selectively top movers. Top movers would include the price gainers for today, the price losers for today, the volume gainers for today. Moving on the right, you will see any bulk and block deals which have been reported, which are the IPOs which are running, and which are the IPOs which are to be launched very soon. The performance of the IPOs over the last 1 year which were launched, and corporate actions which are announced on the scripts, and status of the market in the market situation currently, whether the market is open or closed. Apart from that, you can see broker messages, FI details, DI details. You can also go into the news section where you have access to two kinds of news items. Something called common open source news, which is basically essentially news which is fetched from various publications like the Economic Times, Business Line, Hindustan Times, and so on. And we also have a capital market news section from the magazine Capital Markets Desk, which allows you to see news in various sections, including something called Hot Pursuit, which presents news on stocks which are moving during the day. Market Beat, which essentially covers the happenings during the market day, the AGMs, the results, the quarter results, any specific actions by regulators, and so on and so forth in the Market Beat section. It also gives you access to a lot of news on currency, commodity, and derivatives markets as well. The live charting section is a very powerful feature. So I'll just take 2 seconds in showing you what all it is capable of. So let's say I've selected a stock called ACC. I'll go into the live chart, which will open up the chart. Now you can, if you see the top left of the screen, you will see that I can trade directly from this chart. I can also do a variety of other things. So for example, let's say I want to have a daily view of the particular script. I can do that. If I want the time frame to be 3 years, I can do that. If I want to change it into a weekly view, I can shift to a weekly view. I can save the view. So let's say I want to save a particular view. I will go there and say, this is my favorite view. So whenever I evoke this view for any script, always get me this view, which has my favorite settings. I can change the display. So for example, a lot of candlestick and line options are available. Apart from that, I can select the theme. So for example, I like a dark view, I can do that. If I like a lighter view, I can do that. I can implement a lot of studies. There are almost about 38 or 39 odd studies which you can do on a particular chart. So let's say I want to uh, do in MACD charting below this. I can add that and say done, and the chart is present below. I can also deploy a lot of tools, like for example, drawing Fibonacci lines, drawing straight lines, drawing regular rectangles, etc. for my own analysis. So tools is something that you will use for your own analysis. Studies is something which is available to you as a ready-made toolkit. Now, two of the more interesting sections in the mobile app are on the bottom left below. So there is something called the analytics section, which has 4 subsections, and something called the scanner section. Now, I'll take you through the analytics section, which is very, very interesting. So if you are in the habit of doing covered call writing, which essentially means you are selling a call option out of the money, most likely. Let's say, for example, the script is 100 rupees. You think that it's not likely to move beyond 105. You therefore go and write a 105 rupee call option and go long in the future segment so that you earn some premium. Typically, the premium is kept as a stop loss for the trade. If you are in the habit of writing such call options, then instead of wasting hours in front of a charting screen or on options calculators and pricing individual contracts, all you have to do is click the bullish scanner, select the out of the money call writing option. Now, this screen will give you in descending order scripts that are available to you in terms of the amount of returns that you can generate. So, for example, let's say the first script idea is essentially telling you that the script's underlying price is 8 rupees 65 paisa odd. If you were to write a call option for 9 rupees contract expiring on 30th July, you will earn a 9.33% return. Now, how a covered call is done is not in the scope of this presentation that I'm making. However, the fact that a 9.83% return can be made over the next 10 days is an interesting insight, and you may want to do further analysis. However, if you think that the trade is worth doing, then all you have to do is press the trade button, and it allows you to enter both the legs of the covered call simultaneously. So if you can see here, you're buying a futures contract and you're selling a call option for the 9 rupee July contract, both happening simultaneously, provided of course that you have limits available in the system. Now, this is the bullish out of the money analytics scanner. Similarly, if you're in the habit of writing bearish out of the money puts, you can use the same way that the covered call was written. You can identify the underlying trades where you can earn a decent amount by writing a put on a particular contract. One of the easier strategies is the neutral strategy. It is also called a straddle. This strategy essentially shows you in descending order of returns. So I'll take an example. Nestle is the first script visible here. Now, this screen essentially tells you that if you were to buy a call and buy a put on the underlying price, which is at the money, in this case, it is 16750. All that you have to do, because when you are buying a put and buying a call, there's a premium outflow. So this scanner shows you what is the minimum swing required so that you recover the premium that you spent and then turn into profit. So in this case, for example, Nestle shows that if there was a movement of more than 4.68% in the script in the current month, you will make money. Now, whether or not Nestle will move by 4.68% till the expiry is a separate analysis that you need to do. However, the fact is that by buying a straddle at these prices, you get a list of scripts on which you can execute straddles and then take a view where you wish to actually execute a trade. And finally, there is something called the IV scanner. The IV scanner is nothing but stocks in descending orders of their IVs. So, for example, iBull Housing Finance today demonstrated an IV percentage of close to 140%, which makes the contract heavily volatile, and therefore while the theoretical price based on historical IV, as the screen shows, should be about 22.5 rupees, the actual price of the contract is close to 24.9 rupees. So which means if the IVs were to come back to historical levels, you as a call writer may actually make good money. And similarly for calls, similarly for puts, you can study individual stocks where a high IV explosion is making call or put writing very, very attractive. So this was the analytics screen. If you click the scanner screen below, there are close to 9 options available to you. Very, very easy options, all of them. The rise and fall scanner essentially shows you stocks which have moved up in terms of price in the last 3 days, accompanied by volume percentage change also, which is positive. And as you can see, there are a lot of scripts which you can filter. I mean, there are lots of mid caps and small caps also, so you can filter by exchange or by segment, etc., sector, etc. But the fact of the matter is the volume change accompanied by the price change is clearly demonstrated here, and you may therefore wish to undertake further studies on how you would like to participate in this price move over the past 3 days. And similar to volume up, price up, you have got another scanner which shows stocks where volumes have moved up but prices have come down and therefore may be demonstrating weakness. The second scanner, so while the rise and fall scanner related to the cash segment, the strong and weak scanner relates to the F&O segment, where a 2-day percentage price change is accompanied by positive OI change. It means longs are forming and therefore a list of these stocks. And similar to the screen prior to this, you can select by the exchange segment or the sector, etc. Or short interest is accumulating. This is for your own studies. For a quick ref check, whether whatever you are assuming about a certain script is also validated by visiting the rise and fall screen or the strong and weak screen. High-low breakers is very, very easy. I mean, essentially, it allows you to see various stocks which are breaking various highs. So whether a 52-week high or a 2-week high or a 1-week high or a 1-month high has been broken, you can filter it and see and participate in the direction of the movement. You can select highs or lows to be able to do your analysis. You can click the resistance and support scanner and it will make available to you a lot of trading opportunities which are placed along the pivots on both sides. So typically intraday traders typically go short around R3 or R2 levels. So this would give you a list of those scripts. And a lot of intraday traders typically use the S2 and S3 support levels along with their own favorite tools to go long. And therefore, this allows you to visit those levels. You can also obviously see the pivot levels for all these scripts by clicking the P, where the number next to each of these levels is the number of scripts available in a particular scanner. Volume shockers is essentially 2 different indicators. So if a particular stock's volume today has been much higher than the average of the last 5 days, then this volume shocker shows you the list of those scripts in the descending order of the volume change compared to the previous 5 days. This is an end of day scanner. If you want to see this during market hours, then you go to what is called the potential scanner, which takes an average 1 hourly volume over the last 5 days and compares it to the current hour's volume and tries to identify scripts where by the end of the day, there may be a huge jump in volume because the current 1 hour volume is far in excess of the average 1 hour volume over the last 5 days. The circuit breakers is fairly easy. Stocks which are breaking the upper or the lower circuits. Lots of people want to participate around circuit levels. So this is just a scanner which presents those opportunities. The spread change scanner is a very, very important scanner. It can be used in 2 ways. So for example, long or short. So I'll give you an example. Let's say Bajaj Finserv. Bajaj Finserv today saw a percentage change on the upside, which means when the day started, the spread between the cash and the futures contract was only 15.75 rupees, which by the end of the day turned into a 1 rupee incremental move almost. Which meant that during the day, if you had been watching the scanner, you would have seen that there was buying interest coming in into this particular script at some stage during the day. So this will give you an idea about which particular stocks, if you are watching this scanner regularly, let's say every 1.5 hours, it will give you an idea about which stocks are gaining in terms of the basis point difference between the futures and the cash contract, meaning the cost of carry is increasing, which in turn means that there is buying interest being demonstrated in the derivative segment. So that is one way of using the scanner. The other way, obviously, of using the scanner is that you compare the 16 rupee or 16.5 rupee spread which is available on the Bajaj Finserv contract vis-a-vis its cash price. And if the yield is good over the next 10 days, let's say you can borrow money at 10%, but this is yielding almost, let's say, close to, maybe 14%, you might want to do an arbitrage trade where you short the futures contract and go long the cash contract and earn this 16 rupees difference, which is available to you right now. So, for example, longs, and similar, the opposite case holds for shorts, where during the day, compared to the beginning of day, you saw a decline in the spread, and therefore there could be possible shorting interest. However, to be able to assess this, you need to be watching these scanners during market hours to understand which, how, and in which direction the stock was moving during the entire trading period. The open is equal to high or low scanner is a very popular scanner with intraday traders, where traders typically try and go short stocks which at about 9:45, which is half an hour away from trading. For the first half an hour, typically these traders allow prices to settle down, volumes to settle down, the initial burst, bulk, block, all of those things to happen, and then typically take a call between 9:45 and 10 o'clock to try and decide whether stocks can be shorted. Now, one of the ways in which they can decide this list of stocks is by watching the open is equal to high scanner, which is essentially nothing but stocks which opened at a particular price, and that price of open was the high. And after that, for the next half an hour to 45 minutes, the price only declined. These could be, therefore, very good shorting candidates. The decision could be taken based on experience and analysis of the trader himself, but a lot of traders use this as a list of stocks from which, amongst which, they will select shorting candidates. And the opposite is true about the open is equal to low, which means the stock opened at a particular price and over the next half an hour or 45 minutes ensured that the price remained above the open and therefore could be very good long candidates for the day. The final scanner is what is called the technical scanner. This scanner also helps you, especially post markets, to identify stocks which are exhibiting certain technical movements. So it gives you three options. You can select price and then compare the prices close in various ways to the averages which are available. So you can select from moving averages, simple moving averages, and linear or exponential moving averages, and come to a list of stocks, which could be, for example, your buy list for the next day. You could also take a moving average and combine that to identify crossover stocks. So one, for example, short-term SMA 5 moving over, let's say, SMA 20, and come to a list of stocks which have exhibited that kind of movement. And from within this list of stocks, you could select stocks where you wish to go long. The final one is where RSI, for example, if you want to identify stocks which are exhibiting a movement above 50 to 70, which means they have not become overbought, but they are definitely above 50, you could click this indicator and get a list of stocks which could be possible buy candidates. So this is how you can use the scanner section. Apart from that, on the top, you can see that you could keep this screen live, which gives you a short view of the indices without having to click through the menu. You can, by clicking the telephone icon above, call our customer connect desk. You can also change this number. I will just show it to you into your dealer's number so that you can access your dealer. This is the list of notifications during the entire day. Prabhudas Lilladher comes out with a lot of research and announcements across various segments, which are all published here in this segment. You could also go into the settings section, which allows you to make some changes. So for example, if you wish to change your password, you wish to understand the application in detail, then you click the help menu, which will open up a PDF document which takes you through all the screens all over again in case you missed something I said. You can see your registered profile at Prabhudas Lilladher. You can also rate us, and I would request all of you to please rate us regularly. Appreciate the good things. Of course, come back to us on things which require improvements. You can also visit the various regulator sites by clicking the link section. You can also set limits on, so as to avoid any accidental entry of trades, etc. You can select each segment and mention the maximum amount of a single order entry that you wish to do, a quantity that you wish to do, so that by accident, especially when we are at home and there are children around, there are no errors, or we don't ourselves make an error. This would help you to enable to do that. You can also change the numbers on the screen into a number that you wish to dial. So for example, instead of having our customer connect number stored by default above, if you want to change it to your dealer cell number, you can do that by visiting the call to trade section here on the mobile app. With that, my demo session comes to an end. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have any queries or if you want to make any suggestions, please always do write into us at plmobileapp@plindia.com. Our team of product managers would revert to you with the solutions that you require. Thank you so much for trading with us. Have a safe evening ahead.